Back here at the Inara Center in Montalban, Jiki Roapuno with Jamie La Victoria. And let's take a look at what it's been like for Chery Tiggo the past couple of years.
First, that is Coach Norman Miguel in the 2024 Reinforced Conference, 5th place, and also in the All-Filipino Conference, 6th place.
So they're actually looking to break out, and they want to hark back to 2021 when they won the Open Conference. So they naging champion na rin itong Chery Tiggo, and they just want the glory days back. And so far, they're looking good today.
Of course, baby Jean Soreño doing wonders for her team. A lot of spunk, a lot of grit from this young player from DLSU.
Yeah, right away you feel her presence, and that's always been the case naman in DLSU. Pag nandyan si Jean Soreño on the floor, ramdam mo eh. Meantime, Trisha Genesis now contributing her second point.
Scores 6-9. Chery Tiggo up by 3 points here.
Abu again. Talagang pati yung ano eh. You have to look closely kasi Capital One yes. Nakalagay doon sa shirt niya.
Now UST.
Yep, she is now playing in the pros. So, also a couple of UST players here on the Capital One side. So that's interesting as well. But just all in all, we see how quickly the UAAP players make a dent or make their presence felt whenever they come into their professional teams, and that just speaks a lot about the caliber of players and
dedication,
the level of competition in the collegiate ranks.
You know, after every draft from last year to this year, the game has just been elevated even more here in the PVL.
That's a block ball for Capital One.
And Capital One already making a chase here. First technical timeout. They have made some adjustments and now scoring off the block.
It's a great press there on Galdones.
Another UST stalwart. Shea Dorador will score.
Fireball from Shea
The left spin.
To Shaya going for her off-speed attacks, targeting that down the line. She noticed that the set of Bikar was a bit too short, but she was able to make a way and target above the hands of Iris.
There's Shaya's second point. Into the net. That's a service error from Chang Abi. That's a point for Capital One. They're only down by 1.
And just to remind everyone, this is Chery's first game here in the PVL on tour.
This is already the third for Capital One. They played against difficult teams, Creamline and Signal right off the bat. So they're still looking for their first win. Excellent stop there by the team captain.
Is there a touch on that?
Off the hands for Trisha Genesis.
So point goes to the Capital One Solar Spikers. There will be a touch on that block on the attack of Trisha Genesis on Alina Bikar.
And Chery will call for time.
Bilisan mo yung konta. Wala nang block yun. Ibibilisan mo lang siya, oh. Di ba? Hirap tayo makakuha ng single block. Ayan, wala nang block. Diba? Ito natin yung sequence. May blocker yan, may coverage tayo. Naintindihan? Huwag tayo magbigay ng error sa kanila. Yung error natin yung puntos nila. Let's go.
Chery,
You can tell just from listening to Coach Norman Miguel, he is really taking advantage of this opportunity to just strengthen the chemistry among the girls.
Strengthen chemistry, strengthen the bond. Of course, it all boils down to those small details. He was specifically talking to Shaya and just talking about those in-game adjustments. You have to make those in-game adjustments during the rally.
Yeah.
You have no time to think. As we see that tip from Aimee Hernandez as we welcome her back here in the PVL. Be quick attack on that tip. Beautiful placement.
Yeah. Blockers there. Good first ball from Alvarez. And Ramal able to keep the ball in play. One more chance here for Chery to set up. Seeing a lot of the combination attacks.
And a lot of variation here coming from Alina Bicar, giving thumbs up to Karen Verdeflor. It's on a quick attack from Aimee, but this time, Baby Jean Soreño, which is forcing the blockers to move for the Capital One Solar Spikers. That's a good set.
Oh, good for that. Also, we talked about Iris Tolonado. She is a veteran. She's also a coach. There's so much that Capital One really can gain from having somebody with so much experience.
Great execution on that B quick attack from Iris.
Big serve. And starting from that first good pass from Chaya Dorador. Hernandez with her second point in a row. That's 3 altogether.
And you can see Alina Bicar just constantly feeding the ball to Aimee Hernandez, just slowly getting her reps back in here in the PVL.
Yeah, Alina Bicar looking so good, really in command.
In command, yes.
And we're seeing good defense from Chery also, allowing for those plays to be executed. PVL this time will score. That's her second.
And it all started with that beautiful dig from Verdeflor, being in the right position yet again. Shy with that beautiful set and corner pocket zone 5.
Back row attack from Genesis. Bicar with a pickup. Verdeflor will set up. Jean Soreño. Chance out for Capital One. Here comes Alvarez. Verdeflor at the right place again. And an error there. Peñafiel could not get the ball past the net.
Ren trying to switch things up with that tip, but a little bit short on that execution. Right idea, but a bit short on that execution.
For the Solar Spikers.
But again, this is the time to make the mistakes and learn from them. As we saw, there are a few of the players that we're seeing still on the bench. A couple of national team players that are just part of the audience and the cheering squad for their teams today. Zanyerva, of course.
Capital One.
It's a perfect press on the block.
Verdeflor is doing a good job as libero.
I mean, she knows where to go on defense. Take a look at the effort there. But unfortunately, it was blocked by the rookie in Pia Abu.
Australia blocked. Another chance here. And Abu is weaving her magic, making her presence felt.
Could see the aggressiveness here for the Capital One Solar Spikers and Iris Tolonada giving chances for Pia Abu in that sequence.
See, Pia Abu was not able to score against Creamline in their last game. She did start, but she made 8 points against Signal. So far,
a lack of wrist action on that execution by Ren. 14 all is her score.
Peñafiel and makes up for that error earlier.
And of course, Alina Bicar giving her another opportunity to score. 15 all is her score here, Miss Chiggy, in this game.
Yes, and I just realized ang daming mga UST alums on both sides.
A lot, yes.
Of course, Alina Bicar also, and Aimee Hernandez, of course.
Good cover by Iris.
Oh, that one is good. Down the line this time. We're seeing the versatility also of Shola Alvarez. And Capital One now leading after the second technical timeout.
Na-miss niyo ba yung game namin? Kung na-miss niyo, subscribe na to our YouTube channel. Subscribe na!
Harold Alarcon made his way to Montalban to cheer for his favorite team. That would be Capital One. It's good to see you here. Yeah, of course, team captain Roma Tormal needs the inspiration. And we talked about how Capital One has been busy early in the on-tour series. They've already played 2 games before this one. Still looking for a win, but again, they played the toughest teams in their pool at Signal and Creamline early on.
No, and that's the best thing. After those games, of course, I'm sure they went in the dugout to talk about what they needed to work on. As we saw a beautiful back row attack coming from Trisha Genesis.
Starting off with that save from Roma. One more time on that sequence there. Great save. And the ad-libbing working out for Capital One.
Diba? Naintindihan ba yun? Balik lang uli sa sistema. Okay, naintindihan? Tara.
Push pa.
Manyon.
Chery! On top!
That is clearly the agenda for Coach Norman. I mean, we've seen spectacular plays from his playbook. So he really just wants to make sure the system, it's all systems go, shall we say, when the real, when the real system kicks in.
No, and all these teams, they train hours and hours every day. So by the time that the game starts, by the time that the whistle blows, you should already be knowing what to do. Of course, usually for those timeouts, the coach could only do so much. So that's why he boiled it down to going back to the system here for Chery Tiggo.
Meanwhile, Peñafiel will try again. Good up there by Genesis. We have a rally. Peñafiel. Almost. Peñafiel tried to keep it in play. 4 points now for Peñafiel, getting a lot of opportunities here from Alina Vicar.
A much needed side out for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers as the Capital One Solar Spikers were slowly gaining some momentum here.
In fact, they are still in the lead, so Chery Tiggo ang naghahabol ngayon. Started out strong to a 3-point lead early in this first set. Out. Good call for Trisha Genesis to let it go.
It's an untimely miss-serve coming from the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. As we have a double substitution here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
There you got Jasmine Moore. And since she has been put in the opposite position, she has been, she's very comfortable there in the opposite.
Now this gives the Chery Tiggo Crossovers 3 spikers in front, adding more variation to their offense. Beautiful dig by Roma.
And what's the call? Looks like it's a double contact.
But there will be a challenge called. A net fault challenge called by the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
This is our first challenge of the day. So kahit na pre-season pa to, this is officially not yet the start of our 2025 season. Siyempre pati ang mga video challenge kasama dyan.
Of course.
First one today, when you mentioned that Capital One now taking over the lead by 3.
Now, just to remind everyone that, of course, the 12 teams were split into 2 pools, and the top 2 teams will then move on to the quarterfinals, and the bottom 4 teams will go through that knockout round as we see if there is a net fault.
Well, from this video,
very close. Yes.
Ayun, yeah. It is the elbow, I think, that caused that net to quiver. So, tinawagan actually ng net na fault ang Chery. And, well, you're at the point where you need to use up your video challenges, So, ayun.
That's an ace from Sola.
Now, a service ace for Capital One.
That is a very strategic serve targeting Ren in that, as we have Cesc Robles now in.
First time Cesc Robles is in the game today. Of course, one of the stars of NU during her time. Oh, wow, what an entrance. What an entry for Cesc Robles right away.
It's an instant impact coming from Cesc Robles. Of course, usually coming off the bench most of the time and just making that impact for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Just tipping right behind Iris. No defenders behind Iris.
Good first ball there from Genesis. And not able to salvage that last set. Hitting the antenna. Chery Tiggo will get that point. Capital One will call for time.
Huwag tayo ma-excite. Lamang tayo pero hindi pwedeng ganyan na magre-relax tayo. May pasa naman eh. So, Iris, maximize. Pag-iwalay natin para tatlong malalaki yan. Pwede mag-pipe ha? Shola, so hingi. Emergency kung ano. Okay, pawi tayo. Pasa ulit. Kaya mo nga lang. Dali mo sa taas. Power. Or...
Let's error na tayo dito ha. Let's go.
Coach Jerome telling his squad to don't get too excited. Of course, they do have the lead here. They're up by 2 points, but you have to stay calm during these moments because the first set is still not even over.
Of course, we got Chastabor now at the helm here for Chery Tiggo. But this is, again, it's a time to experiment because Alina Becar was doing quite well.
Yes.
Doing a lot of good plays. And here's a chance now for Chery Tiggo again for the counter. Good pickup by Shola Alvarez. And that paid off. Australia with a finish, and Capital One is up by 3, getting closer to the 25-point mark. Spike of the set brought to you by Dunkin', Masalubong ng Bayan.
This is her first point coming from the back row. Australia just shining right here for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
Service Abu.
Ooh, good pickup again. Good defense here we're seeing from Alvarez. Very good responses. Nabor looking for Robles from back row. That does not count. Sorry, coach. Bawal.
That is a 2 for 2 coming from Cesc Robles. Earlier she went for that tip, and this time another attack coming from the back row, targeting Shola Alvarez in zone 6.
Again, that's a system play well executed by Nabor. And the rally again, this time a point for Chery Tiggo. We're at 20-21, so ayaw pang matapos ng Chery Tiggo itong set 1 na ito. Mahabol sila.
That is Cañete for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. We have Niegos now in for the Capital One Solar Spikers, along with May Makatuno. Double sub here for Capital One.
And Chery Tiggo's team captain, Abby Marano, back in the game. Good serve there. And a good pickup. Oh, that's outside. Good goal by Shola Alvarez to let it go.
We have instant impact here on this double substitution for the Capital One Solar Spikers. The block was not fully closed for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, and Niegos found that window and attacked in between the two blockers.
Very exciting first set here between these two teams. Hernandez is the setter for that last sequence. And the block not enough for Romy Australia will score her second point, but a very crucial time.
It's also her swing. If you take a look at the approach of Australia here, Take a look at that. Just touching the hands of Amy Hernandez. Very the floor a bit late on that coverage.
Yeah. Floater handled by Robles. Adorador. Solo block by Robin Celia. And she sets up her team for a couple of set points here. What timing.
And that off-speed attack will not work for Shaya Adorador. Capital One just needs 1 point to get set number 1.
Another floater. Tough serves from Tolenada. Looking for Genesis. Blockers were there. Another chance here. Quick conversion, but Tolenada
Still
Cap
good.
One keeps the ball in play. That was a botched play there for Chery. Here's a chance for point and a win. And it's just fitting that Jola Alvarez scores the winning point in that first set because she was working overtime both in offense and defense. Got one last time. Point of the set brought to you by Myra. Be Vita Brighter with Myra's Vitamin Powered Whitening Lotion.
What is set number 1 for the Capital One Solar Spikers?
Great action there again. Jola Alvarez was really all over the place, just working so hard in that first set, and she wins it for her team. We'll talk more about it after the break. Capital One winning their first set here in the on-tour series of the PVL, and they kept it exciting. Chery was right in step with them, pero nagpaiwan na lang dahil talagang Capital One just bound and determined to win their first game here.
And for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, they had a strong start. Baby Jean Soreño was attacking in between the block, going for those corner pockets, but it did boil down to them outsmarting the Capital One Solar Spikers, which they did not do. Now talking about the Capital One Solar Spikers in Australia, Genesis and Pia Abu were just outsmarting the defense here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. They were avoiding Karen the floor as she was playing spectacular defense. But when it did boil down to the latter part of set number 1, Trisha Genesis was there. As we see the set 1 stats here, 15 attacks for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers and 14 for the Capital One Solar Spikers. 3 blocks for the Capital One Solar Spikers rather, and take a look at that, Miss Chiggy. 7 errors in just set number 1 for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Those were spiking errors and also very untimely missed serves, which was also halting their own momentum here against Capital One.
7 errors is it's costly, but not bad in the I guess if you look at the bigger picture. They kept it in the single digits,
Right.
but Capital One did play the cleaner game with only 4 errors. And as we mentioned, this is a time to experiment. So nakikita natin dito, Jamie, on the Chery Tiggo side, talaga ang shuffle, ang labas-pasok
Yes.
ng mga players. And, your top players like si Chang Abby is not, kept in the game too long. Of course, Aragalang still nursing an injury. And Maylin Paat also. So we are going to see much more from Chery Tiggo in the coming season, in the when the invitationals come around, it's going to be a different story altogether.
Of course, Seth Rodriguez is starting here for Chery Tiggo, and of course, Seth Robles in set number 2 for Chery.
We haven't even seen action from
Pauline Gaston.
Pauline Gaston.
Right.
First point for Chery Tiggo in the second set, and Vicar is back as setter.
Great set.
Oh, that's going inside. Just hit it hard enough, it'll bounce off the net and inside.
And of course, baby Jean Soreño will still get the starting nod here in set number 2. Slowly finding her groove here in the Chery Tiggo family here with the top of the net in that point.
Top scorer for Chery so far. Oh, smart move, but good anticipation by Hernandez. And that's off the block by PVL with a quick point. She has 5 as well.
Simple attacks coming from Ren against that tall wall of the Capital One Solar Spikers. Chery Tiggo up by 3 points.
Tough serves handled there by Alvarez. Coronado with a quick pickup. Oh, Genesis with a wrist action. That's 5 points for Trisha now. And let's turn it over to Aitin Sai with a report.
Back inside the Inaris Sports Center in Montalban, Rizal, one Solar Spiker who stood up and stood out. Last game was Roby Estrella with 18 points. She has transformed to have a killer instinct for going point after point. I asked her what caused her the shift in gears to maneuver power into the team, and she told me Coach Jorge is the leading cause of impact as to why she stepped up, given the amount of trust and confidence the coaches gave her. Because for her, there's a difference between good and bad pressure. Instead of focusing on lapses like she did before, she's given the opportunity to bounce back after a lost point. The boost of confidence to step up while half of the core team's gone. It's empowering for her, and we can't wait to see more of this in this game, just like in set number 1. Back to you, Cheeky and Jamie.
Thanks a lot, Alexis Tinsay, and Chery Tiggo just with an early lead here, and not for long because Capital One really, they look like they are bound and determined to win their first game today. They're all out.
And you know, you can see the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, they were up by 3, but they're having a difficult time maintaining that lead. Attack errors, and for the Capital One Solar Spikers, a lot of the offense is spread out. Ooh, what an attack going down the line by baby Jean Soreño.
That's huge. And she got 6 points again, just leading the pack here for Chery Tiggo.
As we see a challenge called, a ball in, ball out challenge called by Capital One. This is on the attack of baby Jean Soreño. Her attack went too fast. We weren't able to see that one going down the line.
Ang bilis talaga. Ang bilis ng kamay niya.
There's tournaments here for the PVL. This is the time to really experiment and show off what you're made of here in the PVL.
And, props to Iris Coronado, who was able to shine light on all of her players. I mean, we got Alvarez and Genesis each with 5 points. Estrella and Galdones with 4. Abu has 2. So lahat nakakapuntos. And that is because of the distribution of Iris Tolenada. An inconclusive challenge. Well, that means we didn't get anything out of that. So I guess that happens when you play the video and you can't tell. Maybe because they're walang kuha.
Might have just been too fast.
Yeah.
From Baby Jean.
I wonder in that situation if sisingilin sila ng challenge because hindi rin naman wala rin nangyari. Maybe Chery or Capital One still has 2 challenges because it was not a failed challenge. Meantime, Shola Alvarez scoring her first point in the second set.
Coach Norman Miguel not too happy just based off his body language that he's seeing from his team. He keeps mentioning going back to the system here.
Well, that's certainly off system. Genesis with a pickup. Back row attack. And there is a check ball. Trisha Genesis will score her 6th point.
And of course, Trisha Genesis is known to be one of the power attackers here for the Capital One Solar Spikers. Amy Hernandez just very close on getting that block, just needing to go a little bit more left laterally in that movement, but she's almost there. Great performance coming from Amy Hernandez.
And we see Capital One's blockers really working the net. Alvarez from the left.
That's too tight.
Oh, but Robles may do.
Great adjustment for Ces Robles on that set coming from Alina Bicar. Having to use her left hand, but great efforts and great dives we're seeing from the Capital One Solar Spikers.
Absolutely. They are playing fantastic floor defense. Saw Seth Rodriguez coming in for Chery. And still Estrella able to get past the 2-man block. She has 5 points as well. Let's take a look at the spike of the set, brought to you by Duncan Pasalubong Bayan.
That is a reverse set coming from Iris Tolenada. Beautiful down the line for Capital. Great serve. Loaded serve.
Robles again just manages to get it over. Genesis didn't like that set. Robles again. Now all out. And Ces Robles. She's another Mighty Mouse. She's one of
Mighty
those
Mouse,
that
I
so
like that.
deceiving. You look at her, 5'4".
Not the tallest.
Yeah.
It's that swing and that elevation. And both teams, I mean, 6-all is our score here in set number 2.
That one did not cross. And that's service error from Jean Soreño. But this is a much closer set from the get-go. Palitan lang ng puntos talaga. Good first ball.
Ooh,
and
there we go.
Robles just on fire.
Chery Tiggo has been waiting for that attack. Talking about Ces Robles. Beautiful set, of course, coming from Alina Bicar. But they need more of those. She's not able to be maximized now as she's in the back row up to serve. But Capital One just making it even more difficult for Chery Tiggo.
Genesis stopped there by Chery. And Robles will come from the back row. Good pick up by Doromal. Oh! Miscommunication there. Again, Genesis stopped. And there's a whistle.
Is there a net touch by Alina Bicar? Right idea. Trying to go for that 1-2 play.
Capital One leads by a point in our first technical timeout.
Bitin na kaya sa games? Watch all the replays on PVL YouTube channel. Subscribe!
And the PVL is back and on tour. Watch the heart of volleyball as it goes around the Philippines. Only on One Sports Plus. And Pilipinas Live. Mylene Paat enjoying the action. Jusa Monte also just chilling. And of course, we know that she is one of the exciting players in Chery Tiggo as well. She will see action soon enough, I think. So Chery Tiggo actually had a pretty strong lineup.
Yes.
PVL scoring her 6th point. And you feel a quiet operator, not a showboater. She's
right.
Very showy, but very efficient. Seth Rodriguez, of course, one of the taller players of the team.
It's a good serve. Ooh. Easy point here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers as Genesis went for her attack in the hands of, I believe, Aimee Hernandez on that off-speed attack. Those are the points that you need to take care of.
All alone, and Chery did not score off blocks in the first set, so this is their first offensive block. Good serve. It's called outside.
So back-to-back errors for Trisha Genesis here.
Chery now up by 2 to make up for that first set loss. If you're just joining us now, 25-20 was the score in set number 1. Capital One finally winning a set here in the on-tour preseason.
Right. Showdown. Multiple missed serves we're seeing for Chery Tiggo here. Also coming from set 1 as well.
Oh, another point off the block for Hernandez now contributing.
The Chery Tiggo Crossovers are even more weak here in set number 2. Perfect timing on that block coming from Aimee Hernandez. Just targeting the head of Roma Dormal.
5 points for Aimee Hernandez. And an ace with the help of the net from Alina Bicar, and our setter also now on the scoreboard, and we have a timeout.
Ang gusto natin, atake agad tayo. Nagmamadali na naman tayo. Hindi ganyan na laro natin kanina. Sagay natin, isa-isahin ulit natin. Pantahan muna natin mabagal. Okay, galawang pa ulit sa ano. Iris, you have 3 spikers. B, C, 5. So, kunin ito, 2 para mag-isa doon. Okay? Hindi pwedeng tapik. Laksan natin.
Okay? Walang gigil. Dahan-dahan lang. Let's go. Umpisa muna tayo sa pasa. Sasaya muna natin. Capital One!
This is what we noticed. There you have Aragalang for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers and Zach Carandang. But this is what we noticed in the previous games here of the Capital One Solar Spikers. Consistency. They did seal set number 1, but you can't be too complacent here. But this time getting a point after that timeout called by Coach Jerome. He did mention in the timeout that he does not want his team to rush and just play a clear game. But at the same time, he doesn't want them to be too emotional as well.
Good first ball. Look at Trisha Genesis working the defense. Soreño from the left pin, and that one is outside. Of course, she's a lefty, so
Right.
you know you want to take advantage of that and use her from the right.
This is her first time going for that cross-court attack, a sharp cross-court attack coming from the left pin. But a timeout will be called by the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Sweet po ba kami kaagad pag follow ni ate?
Hindi, mag-i-stay ka. Oo. Depende, di ba? Kanina, nagkaroon kayo ng miscommunication. Dapat nung pinapunta niya si Rene doon, tumakbo ka kagad dito, di ba? Okay lang, walang problema. Sinasabi ko lang, hindi mo rin kailangan magka-error doon sa gano'n. Yung sa out of season, pasok mo lang siya. Kaysa matarget mo pa tong dito. Sayang, lamang na lamang tayo.
Let's go, Chery!
And as we mentioned, we know Coach Norman Miguel's agenda probably for the entire preseason for
Right.
this on-tour series. Just really to tweak the system, to see new adjustments that they need to make, and to see how well these girls play together. You got a lot of new faces in the Chery Tiggo lineup.
No, and I also like how Baby Jean was asking Coach Norman Miguel a question during the timeout.
And she was reassured na okay lang yun, you know, mistakes happen, but sayang lang daw because they're ahead by a lot. So, all told, Jean Soreño has had quite a game today.
Ooh, good swing.
Yeah, good pick up there by Tolenada. Another chance here for Chery. Another good swing. That one's a go. And Ivy Hernandez will score point number 6.
Amy Hernandez has always been that quick middle blocker here.
Yeah.
Take a look at that fast arm swing up against one blocker in Casey Galdones.
And you look at that kind of performance, you forget that she's coming off of an ACL injury.
So another untimely misserve for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Tied at 13. Oh, that one sails outside. And, you know, we were able to show all of you really who isn't playing for Chery Tiggo. I mean, we're seeing the performance of the Crossovers, and this is without their stars,
Right.
you know, with
Geneva, yes.
Maylene Paat is still sidelined. But, of course, Capital One is just waiting for Bella Belen to be able to take center stage. In the meantime, they're doing very well in this game.
Lethal attack and outsmarting the defense here of the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Talking about Australia, and I'm constantly looking over at Bella Belen, smiling, cheering on for her team here.
And it's a double substitution now with a new setter on the court. We've got Makatuno calling the shots, and Niegos coming in also full front for Makatuno here. Oh, that one past the two-man block, and Tess Robles has 6 points. Also good distribution here from the Chery Tiggo side. All 4 players, Robles, Hernandez, Peñafiel, and Soreño with 6 points each.
Number 24, serving for the Crossovers, Jasmine Nabor.
Jasmine Nabor now is doing the setting chores.
Wow. We love that play. It's our first time seeing that play for the Capital One Solar Spikers. The veteran setter here in May Makatuno. Very deceiving. And the middle is just being that decoy, talking about Pia Abu.
For Capital One.
Ooh, tough serve. Robles from the right pin now. Niegos going up, ball going down, and that's point number 2 for Niegos.
So instant impact yet again for Niegos and May Makatuno.
And your second technical timeout, Capital One is ahead.
Player highlights, we got you covered. Subscribe now to the PVL YouTube channel. Subscribe!
Braces off for Bella Belen. That is something that is very noticeable. And you talked about her having fun just watching from the sidelines and just waiting to step in her yellow uniform. It's not gonna happen yet, no, Jamie? Kasi meron pang Alas Pilipinas games eh.
But it's good seeing her with her new teammates,
Yeah.
of course, bonding, of course.
Number one pick from the recent draft. A very exciting draft.
Very exciting
Yeah.
at that. There's a check ball on that one. Is there a touch on that attack by Niegos? Very obvious in that sequence. Now the Capital One Solar Spikers are up by 2 points here. Bump set by Dormal. Yep, on Cesc Robles.
Yep.
A little bit late on that block.
They were talking about the exciting draft. Actually, Chery Tiggo picked up 4 new players. Just went all 4 rounds.
Right.
And
Too tight. It's a net violation.
Net violation.
A little bit too excited talking about Niegos.
So we got. Yep. Clearly a net violation there. Robles will get a chance to serve. And aside from Jean Soreño, Ren Peñafiel, Cañete, and Deloria are the 2 other pickups for Chery Tiggo. That was off the hands. And Chery Tiggo now tying things up at 17 apiece.
It's a quick side out for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Cañete just touching the hand of Jensen.
Good defense. Chance here for Capital One again. Niegos! Almost. Cesc Robles was in the right spot, but Niegos too much power behind that attack. And that is her 4th point.
The instant impact
Yeah.
on this double substitution here. The tandem, May Makatuno and Niegos, just changing things up here offensively for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
Looks like Niegos will be sticking around. She spent a little bit of time on the court in the first set. Pero mukhang ibababad na si Niegos.
Might as well.
Sunod-sunod yung puntos. Again, great defense from Alvarez.
Beautiful set by May.
Next set. Blockers were there. Good pancake by Abu. Oh! And mistimed there. And Alvarez knew it.
Trying to soften that attack. We're talking about Shola Alvarez. But good efforts we're seeing by the Capital One Solar Spikers. 18 all. Miss Chicky yet again ties her score.
It's been that kind of second set. Niegos, this time stopped. Good defense on both sides. Play goes on. Niegos again. And will she nip the net? That was untouched and outside. So Chery Tiggo will get the point. It's a race to 25. Really have been deadlocked over and over here in the second set.
But a challenge will be called by Capital One block touch challenge on the attack of Niegos. Coming from the right pin, targeting zone 1.
We talked about how Niegos has been able to score consecutive points here in the second set. She has 4 so far. Alvarez has 7. Genesis 7. Australia also with 7 points. And on the other side, 6 points each for Robles, Hernandez, Peñafiel, and Soreño.
See the location of the blocking here. That is Jaime Hernandez. So that is a clear attack as you see it going outside. So that is no block touch. So challenge unsuccessful by Coach Jerome.
So it was an effort by Niegos to try to avoid the blockers, and she was able to do it. The ball just sailed outside. So Chery Tiggo will get the point and the serve back. Ooh.
Lucky break. Multiple missed serves we're seeing here in set number 2. And just also untimely for the crossovers.
And number 9, Ruby Estrella. Service, Solonada.
Iris Solonada back on the court.
Yep, she has a full front row. Let's see how she will strategize here.
Again, that system play. Coach Norman Miguel was happy about that.
So first combination play we're seeing by the crossovers. Beautiful receive. And an even better attack.
This time of Jasnabor. So that's also good news for Chery. Kahit aling setter lagay mo dyan.
Deep bench here for the crossovers.
Of course, we talked about how Jasnabor are also a converted opposite. So she knows what kind of ball they like. Genesis will manage a point there. And keeping it tied again at 20. 8 points for Trisha. Genesis.
Iris Solonada hugging Genesis. The set was a bit too tight, but she was able to make away. 20 all is our score here in set number 2.
Heard the floor there. Good first ball.
Not over.
That's an attack error by Chery Tiggo, giving Capital One a 1-point lead, and Chery will call for time.
Huwag nyo paabutin hanggang dito sa D-pass lang. Safe na safe tayo hanggang doon sa B-pass doon. Wala tayong kalaban-laban kung puro C-pass lang yan. Naintindihan? Okay? Tara, tiwala! Unahin mo natin pasa!
Enjoy pa tayo, enjoy pa na! Habulin natin, Chery! Wala! Isa lang.
We're hearing Chung Api telling her girls to enjoy the game. Chery looking a bit stiff here in set number 2. You see the Card Chargers
getting ready for the second game. They will be going up against Zeus Coffee. That is our doubleheader for today. Coach Norman talking about the B-pass, C-pass. Professor Jamie, please explain.
Well, usually with the setters in the setter's box, which is an A pass, which is in the setter's box. But the B pass could be right in front of the 10-foot line. So Alina Picard doesn't have to move too far, doesn't have to chase the ball. Because normally if Alina Picard is chasing up after the ball, it is considered an out-of-system play, which is forced to, of course, either go on the pin, which is the left and right pin.
There you go.
You don't need he's not even asking for an A pass, a perfect pass, just a pass right in front of the area. In the area,
yeah. As we await the results of the block touch challenge here posted by Chery Tiggo. But that's just testament to really, when you talk about system, talagang it starts with a pass Talagang pati yun kung saan mo ilalagay yung bola, kung paano mo isusubot sa center mo, it matters. And diba, that you centers, you do the signal. So your entire team is looking at that, like behind your back.
Hand signal.
Right, the hand signal. So that also signals the defensive players where you want the ball. Daming iniisip sa volleyball.
No, and sometimes there's a specific play that the setter actually wants to run. the pass sometimes actually has to be perfect. So that's when you look at the server on the other side. Do they do a jump serve, a floater serve? So you have to not only take into consideration your side, but also the side of your opponent.
That's right. If you know that you're up against a strong server, then you adjust.
So a lot of things you have
so
to
many
think
things.
about. Yep.
That's a service error coming from Capital One at that time. And Chery Tiggo a chance to tie things up once again. It's been nip and tuck in the second set. Balik ang bola sa Capital One. Alvarez. Robles stopped. Good rebound for Capital One. Back row attack, too much for Trisha Genesis. She was successful a couple of times, so it's hot and cold for Trisha from back row.
And also, Shola Alvarez has the hot hands here in set number 2. Genesis might not have been ready. Of course, talking about her back row attack and also lack of wrist action in that sequence. Good receive.
One-handed set. Robles is blocked. One more chance for Cess. Genesis saves that ball. Here's Shola Alvarez. One more time for Alvarez. Good D. Robles blocked. Nunag. And you know, you credit Nunag there for her saves and allowing for that rally to go on until Chery got the perfect play.
You know, just Amy Hernandez just finishing off that rally with that beautiful power tip. Take a look at that.
That's great execution. Timeout, Capital One.
Wala tayong shoot. You can do shoot kung ano tayo, side out from pass. Pero transition, let them, muna, rest. Kasi balikan yan nagmamadali. Masano rin natin.
Yes, yes, yes.
Hoy!
Good rally, good rally.
Sa taas, laksa mo sa taas. Doon din.
Talang kunin natin next na point na to. Let's go, let's go. Dahan-dahan lang. Walang gigil, walang gigil. Capital. Tuloy-tuloy lang. Walang gigil.
Specific instructions we're hearing from Coach Jerome to Iris Tolenada. During that long rally, Iris was giving shoot sets to the left pin in Shola Alvarez. But because the rally is going back and forth, it's still ongoing, the set should be a little bit high for Shola Alvarez because she's still going in transition. And then after that, she still has to do her approach. So you have to give your spikers some more time.
That's a great point.
Chery Tiggo with a 3-0 run here in set number 2.
They have the lead, and that one worked out. So quick response coming from Capital One.
And that's an even better set coming from Iris. That's almost like a shoot set, but you're allowed to do that on a first attack, which is coming from a serve.
So just recognizing when to play the shoot set, right, and when you need to give your attackers more time. Robles did not need any time for that one.
It's a power swing coming from the left pin. That is Cess Robles.
One more time in that last play. Again, she's a dynamo. All 5'4".
Serving for the set, Shaya.
Now it's set point for Chery Tiggo. Shola Alvarez. And that is game or set for Chery in the second frame. They fought hard for that one. Just kept in step with Capital One. Hindi sila nagpaiwan in the second set. As we take a look at that point of the set, brought to you by Myra. Be Vita Brighter with Myra's Vitamin Powered Whitening Lotion. And we are now split with one set apiece. Let's talk more about it after the break. Stay right there. 25-23, the score in the second set, and we're now even one set apiece. But that was a hard-fought second set. Talagang balikan lang sila, palitan ng puntos, and Chery Tiggo was able to run some spectacular plays in that last frame.
Yeah, talk about Cesc Robles making a difference here, coming from the left pin. They needed that added spunk and added firepower in their roster here. And of course, talking about Aimee Hernandez, as we see her getting the starting unit, going for the power tip. She's always been that great middle blocker for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. But for the Capital One Solar Spikers, they were unable to seal set number 2. Many mistakes as we witness, and as we see in the set 2 stats here, 13 attacks for both teams. And I mean, when you look at the stats here, Miss Chicky, it could have been anyone's ball game in the latter part. Of course, take a look at that, almost the same numbers for both. But it also did boil down to the breaks of the game. They talking about the Capital One Solar Spikers, there was some sort of lull in the middle of set number 2 where the Chery Tiggo Crossovers were able to gain that momentum, and it did start with the attacking of Cesc Robles.
Yeah, and also some errors, costly for Capital One. They played a cleaner first set, as you can see here in the stats. And eto, marangkada na nga yung blocking ng Chery Tiggo. They're able to score 3 points off the block. Didn't happen in the first set, so that's something that Capital One has to really adjust to.
Adjust, right?
Yeah. And that's what we're seeing a lot of. It's very interesting, really, to see the things that go on during the preseason. We're so glad we're able to allow you a peek into what happens when these teams prepare for the PVL season. And we're glad you're joining us here, coming from the mountainous town of Montalban here in Rizal. Shikiro Puno with Jamie La Victoria, of course Alexis Tinsay also joining us for this coverage today. We have a double header, so make sure you stay with us for the game following this one between the Zeus Coffee Thunderbells and the Akari Chargers, all from the B pool, right? All of them from Pool B.
Pool B, yes. We see Pauline Gaston now starting here in set number 3. She could help with the blocking, of course, in set number 3 for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. You know, this is nice seeing Coach Norman Miguel shuffle all his players here.
Yeah.
This is really the time to experiment. We keep mentioning preseason, and this is just what we will see in the future here for the PVL.
And we're getting ready now for the third set. And like we said, we're split now. And both teams really well matched today. Australia sending it over. Good defense. Angelina taking care of that one. And that is off the hands. So Chery Tiggo will score first.
First point of the third for Chery Tiggo.
Good set. Oh, and an error there. So then you can keep that ball in play.
So wasted opportunity for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Trisha Genesis going for the jump serve. And aggressive now with the serves, and she is also doing well on defense. That one's outside, untouched.
No, and Karen Verdefor, we only talked about her in set number 1. But she's actually in the right spot every time for defense. She knew that the attack of Alvarez was going outside. So this is, you know, the players staying disciplined on defense.
Good first ball. Talking about the liberos, Doramal there showing off, and that works out. Starts with the first pass. As we said, Australia now with 8 points.
Aimee Hernandez in the right position for blocking, but a bit too far off the net in that sequence.
Good first pass. Ooh!
What a play.
Great combination attacks, and Galdones tried to keep it up, couldn't do it. Let's turn it over to Alexis Tinsay for her report.
Cheeky and Jamie back inside the Inares Sports Center in Montalban, Rizal. One set to themselves. The Chery Tiggo Crossovers are happy, and the likes of Shaya Adorodor and Jaime Hernandez, who are both excited to reach out to the fans outside of San Juan and Pasig City, as volleyball is indeed for every Filipino across the country. Now for their goals on tour, it is a challenge to have their core leaders down, and the likes of Mylene Bat and Ira Galang, but to have the same playmakers from years back, bring them forward to the consistency that they want in their game. Now for Chery, it's not about new systems like the other teams. It's about doing what they do best and even performing better. More than that, it's cleaning up the system that their hearts and arms have already mastered. Back to set 3 as this is an extended match.
Thanks a lot, Ai. And Chery with an early lead. Yeah, there's a lot of cleaning up that they're doing, a lot of adjusting. We saw that from set 1, Chery Tiggo. They lost that first set 25-20 and picked up a win in the second set 25-23. And Jean Soreño just taking it easy and playing smart volleyball.
Playing smart, going for that tip. We haven't seen a lot of those tips coming from Baby Jean. But just avoiding that block. But Shola Alvarez was there to react, but a little bit late.
Three-point advantage early in this third set for Chery Tiggo. Soreño again scoring her. That's Baby Jean Soreño. 9 points now for her.
You know, we just love how the draftees have been showing up here for the PVL. No fear for Baby Jean Soreño.
Tough serve from Hernandez. And that's Torres, who is in the game.
That is Torres babying that attack, but too short. Did not get past the net. Pauline Gaston starting in set number 3.
Sporting that bob haircut. I think everybody's loving. And that's a quick point for Capital One.
For Piabu, yep. On that tip. Take a look at the set coming from Iris. Now, this is a perfect time also for both setters, Alina and Iris, to really perfect the type of sets that their spikers want here in the PVL on tour.
That's outside. That's another point for Capital One. We saw Pia Abu. She has 3 points so far. We talked about her output earlier today. Couldn't score against Creamline, but had 8 points against Signal. But we want to see the activation of the middles happen for Capital One a little more.
Needs to be a bit more. Ooh.
That's a.
We'll give her a pass. So rookie mistake. We'll give her a pass.
That's right. We forget she's a rookie after all.
That is her only second attack error. Talking about Baby Jean. Good receive by Pauline.
Oh, but too smart there for Torres. Just waiting for that ball and sending it right over.
That's 4 straight points for Capital One.
And as we hear from the stadium announcer, Noel Salate, saying Capital One has had 4 straight points, so this is a run. And you know, it's tough when you arrest your own run via a service error. And we are at our second technical timeout.
Player highlights, we got you covered. Subscribe now to the PVL YouTube channel. Subscribe!
We got some interesting fans here. A lot of
We love the love.
yes, a lot of Rizaleños enjoying the action on the court and off. Just seeing who's here, the who's who.
The who's who. No, this is where Capital One Solar Spikers need to polish a bit more in terms of attacking here. Good receives that we're seeing. The sets are good coming from Iris, but it's a consistent attacking. A lot of the attacks are not being converted into points.
That's a good point. Torres now, stop there. Gaston putting out the ball for Robles, and that is going to be a point off the block.
Coach Norman Miguel not too happy with the attacks coming from Robles.
Chery Tiggo in the lead, but yeah, we've seen a cleaner Chery Tiggo. Medyo they're not as fluid, no? Hindi,
Right.
Yeah,
And it's also the experimenting of... There we go.
We've seen that happen time and again. We know that that is one of the best things coming out of Pauline Gaston. As we take a look at the spike of the set, brought to you by Duncan Pasalubong ng Bayan. Pauline can do a seminar on running attacks. No, she's really got it down pat. That's one of Pauline's best plays.
Her specialty, yep.
Yeah, specialties.
Clean attack, no block, that wrist action. Perfect swing by Pauline Gaston.
Genesis is blocked. Good defense from Capital One. There the floor again. Needed where she was. One more time for Trisha. Soft. Good read by Soreño. From the back row. There the floor again. Anticipating where she needed to be. That one got away from Roma Doromal. And what a rally, Jamie.
What a lucky break for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. They clearly have the momentum here in set number 3. But Roma Doromal, unfortunately, touching that attack.
Good first ball. And Abu with the defense. Let's see where Bicar will go. 3 times. Third one is charm for Pauline Gaston, and the crowd loving that action.
Take a look at Francis Escandor. we love a supportive BF.
Well, the whole Inares Center really appreciating that last sequence.
But you know, from set 1 and 2, you know, I was eyeing Pauline Gaston. Of course, when you're on the bench, you wanna get the playing time,
Yeah.
and she has it here in set number 3. She's one of the veterans here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, and she can make a difference here in this game.
Well, as we've said from the beginning, that is not the agenda of Coach Norman. More than really showing off your stars, it's getting
Yes.
the newbies,
Right, of course.
yes, accustomed and acclimated to this kind of play. Kaya yun ang nakikita natin. But we're all very happy to see Pauline Gaston on the court. I'm sure people here in Montalban wanting to see Abby Maraño back on the court as well.
Ooh,
But
Tapia.
now Tapia, April Tapia is a new entry here, playing for the first time in this game here in this third set.
Tapia coming out of nowhere there with a power tip. Very timely here, and just breaking the momentum of the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Parang counterpart ni Ces Robles.
Yes.
And ito rin, whatever she lacks in size, she more than makes up with her explosiveness. Oh! And now who's showing off?
That was a beautiful play by Alina Bicar. Aimee Hernandez being that decoy in that sequence, and no block for Chery Tiggo.
That's a great point from Peñafiel. Almost breaking into the double-digit area. Australia, 2 with 9 points. So we've been seeing also in Australia's overall game, she saved a lot of balls when she was in the back row.
Right. And you know, Capital One, they're just trying to break the momentum here of the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Big serve from April Tapia. Soreño with a kill. And she breaks into the double digits, first one in the entire league here. She is at 10 points. Peñafiel with 9.
What a serve.
Yeah, but good first ball from Tapia. Hernandez again, all alone with that block. Good idea for Soreño to let that ball go. And we are at our second technical timeout. A big lead for Chery Tiggo.
Na-miss niyo ba yung game namin? Kung na-miss niyo, subscribe na to our YouTube channel. Subscribe na!
Inares Center in Montalban, Rizal. Chiki Roapuno with Jamie La Victoria, Alexis Tinsay bringing you the first of our double header today. We've got the Coffee Thunderbells and the Chery Chargers waiting in the wings. Meantime, we are split with 1 game apiece between Chery Tiggo, Capital One. Chery now with a 5-point lead in this third set. And we're going to make it a 6-point lead after that service ace by Peñafiel, who is now in double digits.
You know, I would say Pauline Gaston was the game changer here in set number 3 ever since the start of her running attack, and then her quick attack that made the difference, boosting the momentum much needed for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers to have this lead here in set number 3.
Oh, that's outside. So now Capital One lapsing into errors. And they will call for a quick timeout.
pwede sunod-sunod. Diyan niya may gang bola. Kumpiyansa. Sa ilalim ka. Okay na? Ha? Pasa ulit. Taas natin. Huwag natin madalhin yung pasa. Pasa ka na maayos. Okay. Parang ensayo lang yan. Huwag ka matakot.
Ate, let's go. Ate, third set pa lang. Parang ayaw na natin. Laban tayo.
Still serving. Red 8 and Japan.
That one is inside. A point for Capital. Good time out there for the Solar Spikers. They have a lot of catching up to do.
Right. Down by 6 points here in set number 3. Capital One needing that spark plug here. Need a better execution in terms of the offense as well. Not a lot of middle attacks we're seeing from Pia Abu as well. Ooh!
They were talking about really when you get the middle blockers in on the game, it becomes more exciting and you see these huge attacks.
You know, the middle blockers here of the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, Pauline Gaston, Aimee Hernandez, of course, Chang Abi up to serve here, but anyone who you put here for Chery Tiggo will make a difference.
Oh, a quick reaction there. That's Tagalog. The push by Cesc Robles. And Chery Tiggo just cruising in this third set. Another chance here for the Crossovers to score. Doromal with a stop. Somebody was at the net. And Chery Tiggo only needing 4 points in this third set.
Loaded serve yet again by Maraño.
Oh!
Pauline Gaston on point so far from attacking to blocking. Take a look at the skill blocked by Gaston.
And the thing about Pauline Gaston, she wants to make it to the highlight reel. These are not simple points that she's scoring. Timeout, Capital One.
Mas ulit. Hindi naman hiningi ng A-pass, di ba? Ano sinabi natin sa ensayo? Taas lang muna. Pagod na umabol, oh. Okay lang yan. Go. Pasahan ulit natin. Kuha tayo ng rhythm natin. Okay?
Buhay energy! Wala pa 25 kaya muna! Kapitan! Wala lang natin!
Pauline Gaston just making a difference here in set number 3.
Still serving.
Aimee Maraño has been spending some time at the service line in a run for Chery Tiggo. Soreño block. Again, great timing by Pauline Gaston, all alone there. Ooh, good chase by Peñafiel. Torres, that goes outside untouched.
No touch on that block. Talking about the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. So we have a challenge called here.
We have a challenge for Capital One for block
A block touch challenge. Specifically on Baby Jean Soreño or Pauline Gaston here.
Well, they are down by huge number 11 points lead here for Chery Tiggo. This is the most lopsided set that we've seen. We're seeing domination here of the Crossovers. And so Capital One just trying their very best to stay in this one. It looks like a done deal for Chery Tiggo in set 3. Different crossover team that we're seeing in this race.
No, and also talking about the Capital One Solar Spikers, but first let's talk about this video challenge. This is a block touch challenge. There's no block touch, so a clear tap going outside. But talking about the Capital One Solar Spikers, consistency is what we're not seeing here. They had a strong start, but it's not how you start. We always say this, Ms. Shiki, it's how you finish. That finishing kick is the far most important thing in the game.
Definitely something that they're going to have to fix. And again, Pauline Gaston with these highlight plays. Huge points for Pauline.
4 points for Pauline Gaston here. Take a look at this replay. Beautiful swing, avoiding the hands of Pia Abu.
Wow, everything is working now for Chery Tiggo. Defensive block. And all but over after that 11-1 run. And the point of the set brought to you by Myra B. Vita Brighter with Myra's vitamin-powered whitening lotion. 11-1 run to end the third set for Chery Tiggo. Very different third set as you see a romp by Chery Tiggo just all over Capital One. 25-12 the final score. What did you see in that one?
I mean, this is just what happened here for Chery Tiggo when everyone is in sync.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I gotta commend Pauline Gaston starting here in set number 3. It all started with her running attack, getting a touch on the block, getting the kill block, and also getting that quick attack, just completely changing the scene here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. And of course not neglecting the other middle blockers of Chery Tiggo, but it's also her energy. We've always known Pauline Gaston to have that vibrant energy for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. And for the Capital One Solar Spikers, it's the consistency that needs to be a bit more polished. As we see the set 3 stats here, 12 attacks for Chery Tiggo and 8 for the Capital One Solar Spikers. And take a look at that, 10 errors by the Capital One Solar Spikers.
Yeah.
Way too many, especially because Chery Tiggo only has 3 in set number 3.
We talked about the impressive clean first set by Capital One when they only had 4 errors. But sabi mo nga, it's not how you start, it's how you finish, and it's the consistency that you're talking about. So something that they still have time to fix, to make up for in this must-win set for Capital One.
Of course, Baby Jean Soreño, 10 points being that leading score for Chery, and in Australia 9 points so far for the Capital One Solar Spikers. But we're not seeing a lot of variation coming from the attacking of Capital One Solar Spikers. Not a lot of attacks from the middle blockers we're seeing, which is making it easier for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers to block.
And in contrast, we're seeing a lot of action at the net. And the middle blockers really being put to good use here on the Chery Tiggo side. And to the delight of the fans here, Gaston will stay on the court. Abby Maraño also is going to be playing in this 4th set. So this is Now they're fielding the veterans. Chaya Dorador is still there, and mixing it up with the newbies. Jean Soreno is getting some good playing time. So this is just really meant to be a preview of things to come when the real season kicks in, the official season.
Right, and baby Jean Soreno has had the starting unit here in all sets, as we see a rare error by Alina Bitar, a double contact. But you can see Coach Norman Miguel really implementing baby Jean Soreno on all variations here of this lineup of Chery Tiggo.
And of course, this is Chery Tiggo's first game in the on-tour series, so a lot of surprises also because Capital One not able to scout them. They didn't know how to prepare for this team. On the other hand,
Exactly.
Solar Spikers have already played 2 games prior, so alam na ng Chery Tiggo kung anong aasahan nila. Ooh. And a point again for Chery Tiggo. This is their first in this 4th set.
So quick reactions we witnessed on that sequence by baby Jean Soreno, just halting that run here of the Capital One Solar Spikers.
So now we want to see how Chery Tiggo will also take care of this lead. Are they going to keep their intensity? Are they going to relax after 2 straight wins? And that's another point for Chery. So we're tied at 2.
2-all.
2 points for Chaya Dorador today. Blocking, still working for Chery. And look at Abby Maraño. She will score her 2nd point. And Alexis Tisay is ready for her.
Chiki and Jamie back inside the Inares Center in Montalban, Rizal for the Solar Spikers. I got to talk to their leader, Roma Durmal, who shared to me that their first 2 games were indeed a challenge, with several players coming in, others still out, and a new system being put in place. The team is still finding its groove. Now, as a leader, her focus now is on accountability, making sure everyone owns up to the lapses from their previous performances. She acknowledges that they're still a growing team, and while there's a lot to improve, there's just as much to celebrate in the learning process. Now, the emphasis now, she says, is on being responsive to each other and responsible for your actions. Technically, they're sharpening their defense to improve on side outs, focusing on better execution from one point to the next. Let's see if they can keep up against the crossovers. Back to you, Chiki and Jamie.
Thanks a lot for that, Alexis Tinsay. And it's really interesting to see how Roma Doramala is, I think, born a leader. In any team she's in, she is seen as that, a leader, even at the libero position, which is unusual. But she is really a steady force and somebody that they all look up to for her leadership. And Capital One has to draw deep to get past Chery Tiggo in this 4th set.
Shona Alvarez now serving for the Solar Spikers.
Alvarez up to serve here. Set number 4. Loaded serve. So ace serve for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
That's something they need right now. You saw a glimpse of Coach Norman Miguel there.
That glare.
Better pass.
That's a good play.
And that's what happens.
You've seen that combination play multiple times for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, and it works perfectly with the attacking of baby Jean Soreno. Abby Maraño being that decoy. But Roma Dormal almost getting that dig.
And Adorador trying to keep it in play. Couldn't do it. Genesis now with 10 points.
Could see the defense here of Shaya Adorador.
Now serving Casey Torres.
Not disciplined here in defense.
Good first ball. Good defense on both sides. Broken play here. Galdones will set up. Here goes. Soreño off the hands. Good enough for point number 7 for Chery.
You know, when they need that instant side out, they can now lean to Baby Jean. I mean, she's only a rookie here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers, having to adjust to a new system and also having to adjust. Getting that starting unit is not easy here at the PVL.
She is ahead of everybody in the field here with 13 points. Oh! And Adorador with a bounce off the net. Took her kind of off position. Kasi kung hindi tumama sa net, tama lang. And that is to the advantage of Capital One, who gets the point. And serve. Their substitution. Tess Robles back in the game.
Some hesitation on the digging of Shaya Adorador. Ooh, out, bullet.
That chesty there, a six-pack, whatever you want to call it. May iba pangalan doon. And we are at a technical timeout. Chery Tiggo up by 2.
Pauline Gaston and Tess Robles for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Trisha Genesis for the Capital One Solar Spikers. Good serve.
Genesis, ooh, Nuna, nowhere to be.
It's a free ball for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Running attack, almost by Tess Robles. But good enough for Pia Abu's 5th point.
You know, I love how a lot of the rookies here are getting maximized with their playing time, running attack that we used to see coming from Pia Abu from USC, but this time still in yellow, and this time for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
Oh, look at Tess Robles with that approach.
That approach, that swing, very lethal attacker for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. No close on that block by Pia and Iris.
Here comes Alvarez. That one's outside.
Is there a touch? No touch. That is a clean attack going outside.
Three-point lead for Chery Tiggo, and they also lead 2-1. First set was won by Capital One 25-20.
Good by Baby Jean.
Toromal. Save there. Not Genesis. Couldn't keep it in place. Another point for Chery Tiggo. Now they're up by 3.
We're also seeing late reactions by the Capital One Solar Spikers and also the Chery Tiggo Crossovers just outsmarting the defense of the Capital One Solar Spikers.
That was tough. And Escola Alvarez is using her agility, just really contorting and every way. Watch this again. It's a tough. Ooh, but you managed to get the ball still inside. Point there. Finding zone 5. That's a tough set. One more time for Cesc Robles. Good pickup by Genesis. Alvarez hitting off the block, and she will get the point for Capital One.
Well, off the block. Off the block for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
12 points now for Shola Alvarez. She is the top scorer for Capital One Solar Spikers. Abu with the defense. Reading Robles there. Genesis. Robles again. Rebound. One more chance. Bicar. Back set. Maranyo with a running attack picked up there. Great defense. Good exchanges. And Robles going off speed. Good read there by Capital One. Play continues. Longest rally. Robles again. Finally she gets it. And this girl will not quit. Cesc Robles. Now with 12 points.
Cesc Robles having to exhale after that long rally. But all credit goes to her talking about Cesc Robles.
That's a great point. That was a great rally there. Longest that we've seen today, and we've had a few. Right? Soreño from the right pin. Genesis with a pickup. Oy! And Chery did not expect that ball to roll past the net that way. Nobody anywhere near the ball. Niegos now with 7 points.
Lucky break for Niegos with the help of the net.
Yeah. Wala. There was no challenge on that ball. Nobody was going to go up for the block. Wow! This time you didn't need multiple attempts.
Yep.
It's just a hang time. Did you see that?
Hang time, the speed, the wrist action, everything. All the above for Cesc Robles.
Again, 5-4. That's what makes it extra special. Oh, and a service error.
Adrenaline. Adrenaline is high for Cesc Robles. the look of Coach Norman Miguel.
I'm looking at Cec's shoes. May mga 2 inches yan. So
Baka may elevation yan.
Well, 5'5", 5'6". Oh! A miss there on that quick attack.
I can feel the frustration coming from Coach Norman Miguel because set number 3, Chery Tiggo was superb. They had the momentum, but this is where he gets frustrated when he sees sequences like that because this should not be happening for Chery Tiggo.
And 2 errors in a row. No check ball there, Deloria. Oh, she get it. Oh, there's going to be a challenge?
It's a block touch challenge.
I think Deloria was saying that there was a touch. The score now is tied at 13, so the lead of Chery Tiggo gone. But this is a must-win 4th set for Capital One. This is also their first four-setter. They lost in straight sets against Creamline and Signal, talking about the Solar Spikers.
Here we have the block touch challenge. So it is very clear. Yep, clear and clean.
We haven't had very good video challenges today.
A lot of unsuccessful challenges.
Of course, Capital One, as you all know, just awaiting the entry of their newest pickup in Bella Belen, right? Will happen before you know it. So a lot of anticipation for that. And I'm sure a lot of people wanted to see how baby Jean Soreño would fare in her first professional game. As we take a look at this rally. And Soreño, she has not disappointed. What a breakout game for baby Jean Soreño.
These picks in the draft, just on point, no fear. Another successful execution on that combination play by the Chery Tiggo Crossovers.
Yes, 14 points for the former lady spiker. That escapes the blockers. And Niegos will get her 8th point. Chery Tiggo still on top, but only by 1 this time. We've got Pauline Gaston in the front row for Chery Tiggo. And as you mentioned, Jamie, she is a spark plug. Things happen when she is on the floor.
Good cover.
Good save by Cesc Robles there. Oh, this time by Pauline Gaston. And Soreño again, picked up by Galdones that time. Genesis blocked. Niegos from the other side. And that is definitely off the block. Deloria will get her check ball this time. No questions asked.
Deloria, she did start here in set number 4. But on this transition play, getting a touch on that block on the hands of Niegos. A lot of players here for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers have a lot of playing time in this game. And this is what Coach Norman Miguel is strategizing.
Oh, but what about that missed opportunity there? That was a free ball practically. Some miscommunication on the side of Chery Tiggo.
Serving for the Silver Spikers, St. Diego's. Substitutions coming in for Chery Tiggo, number 19, Soreño.
And we got some substitutions happening here. Double substitution waiting to happen for Chery Tiggo.
Number 24,
Soreño will sit this one out. We have a Justin Moore coming in also as setter.
15 all.
Nabor setting up Cañete. Nabor almost over to the other side there. Genesis. Cañete didn't know what to do with that one. Kala niya labas na, pinabayan, pero pasok. And Capital One all of a sudden in the lead by a point.
Bitin na kaya sa games? Watch all the replays on PVL YouTube channel. Subscribe!
Got the Akari Chargers waiting in the wings, waiting for their chance against the Zeus Thunderbells. And that's happening right after this game, right here at the Inares Center in Montalban. PVL on tour, coming from Batangas. Where else? Vegan ba?
Yes.
And San Juan, of course, our usual.
Phil Oil.
Phil Oil. Good defense from Shola Alvarez, anticipating that running a quick attack from Gaston. And Genesis, that one lands. And Capital One now enjoying a 2-point lead. And this is where you appreciate the defense, the scrappy defense of Capital One. They're able to convert. Timeout, Chery.
O, di dito ko na lumamang. Pero kung kanina nandito siya, ito okay tayo sa ganitong defense. Diyan na siya nakaharap eh. Diba? Ikaw na tumulong din dyan. Naintindihan? Tara! Pagka-block atras na mabilis para anytime mabigyan ka ng bola, ready ka rin dyan. Ready ka rin dyan.
Challenge lang yan. Tara. Overtime, Chery. Go.
The Capital One Solar Spikers having the momentum here in set number 4. Bella Belen on your screens. Mylene Pat. Aragalang and Zakarandang. Of course, along with Jen Yerva.
Service error there. Chery Tiggo can take advantage of that. Chery, of course, wants a big win here in their debut game here in the on-tour series. Capital One, on the other hand, looking for their first win in their 3rd game. Niegos.
What a dig.
Oh, yeah. Oh, almost, but the double block working for Capital One. And they're up by 2. They're looking to extend this to 5th setter. Chery Tiggo had their big guns on the floor. Hark back to set 3. That ended 25-12. So Capital One has made the necessary adjustments here in this 4th set. Very sticky, scrappy defense, and they have been able to convert, like you said, Jamie. They have taken advantage of the defense, of the good defense. Labor looking for Cañete. Rally continues. Alvarez.
Good bump set.
Robles, double block. That's 2 in a row with Olenada and Abu coming together, making things happen for Capital One.
It's a blocking party here for the Capital One Solar Spikers. 2 kill blocks in a row for the dropped pick in Pia Abu.
And that double substitution with Jean Soreño and Alina Bicar now back on the court. Robles is still in front. That one is outside, but there's a check ball signaled by the lines judge, or one lines judge says it's a check ball. The other one says it's out, and we are going to revert to a challenge here on that call.
It's a block touch
Was
challenge.
it a block touch? We'll find out soon enough. Capital One enjoying a 4-point lead. Chery Tiggo, after winning that 3rd set, 25-12.
Just aiming for that pinky.
Finally a successful challenge for Chery Tiggo. The first one all day, actually, first successful challenge.
No, we haven't seen a lot of middle attacks for Maranyo and Pauline Gaston because there's been a lot of difficulty in terms of receive that we're seeing for Chery Tiggo Crossovers, which means that the Capital One Solar Spikers have been serving tough in set number 4.
But come on, solo blocks coming from Cess Robles. She has been explosive today. Unbelievable.
Natin yung basa natin. Run ka, di ba? Kung nag-run siya, pwede mo i-pipe tong si Trisha. Kung mag-A siya or B, pwede mong gamitin si ito sa pipe. Si, hindi pwede malambot. Sinasabi sa'yo, pag malambot palo mo, umaangat, mabalik lang sa atin. Ilaban mo, diinan mo. Ha?
Capital One! Let's go!
For a quick moment there, Capital One looked like they were up by 4 until the video challenge reversed the call. And now Chery Tiggo only looking for 1 point to make up here. And Alvarez just finds the end line there.
It's a nail biter of a set here in set number 4. Miss Chicky, Capital One, up by 2 points here. This is when I was mentioning that there needs to be better attacking for Capital One. It cannot just be attempts. A lot of the attempts need to be converted into points.
Well, there has been no problem with Tres Robles converting these good passes to points. She has been at it all day.
Of course, with no Aragalang in the lineup right now, there needs to be more players that need to step up.
Again, look at where the floor is just all over Alvarez. And credit that point really to Bear the Floor, who knew how to defend against Shola Alvarez. And Chery Tiggo now ties things up at 20 all. And again, it's all about the finish. We knew that the Capital had a strong start. And they also led early here in this 4th set. That one is a point for Casey Galdones.
It's a good setting strategy by Iris Tolenada to convert that running attack by Casey Galdones. We haven't seen a lot of those. So you can see that Iris is switching things up and forcing the blockers to move for Chery.
And you like how her hitters are always on the ready.
Ready and alert.
Yeah.
Yep.
And Jean Soreño again doing damage for Chery Tiggo. And you know, you're so happy for Jean Soreño.
Yep.
Because the last couple of years for her at the LSU were limited because of the big stars that are playing.
Yep.
You know, you've got Angel Canino there, and
Shavana Laput.
Shavana Laput, who really has come into her own, but she has always been there for support. Jean Soreño coming in at crucial times and just
coming off the bench.
Yeah.
But this time she can be a leader here, along with her ates, her new teammates.
It seems like, by all the indications, she is quite a fit for the Chery Tiggo system. But Capital One still ahead. We could go for a 5th set here. Rivera with a save. Block. An assist. Oh! And that's worth another look. So Peñafiel was actually there for the regalo, but then the ball dropped in the Chery Tiggo court. Capital One up by 2.
Diba? Maturity. Kalimutan na yan. Sige na, focus lang. Tara, kalimutan yan.
Let's go. Okay na, guys. Settle agad. Chery, go lang. Kapitan lang. Let's go, kapitan lang.
That actually happened twice so far in set number 4. It all boils down to the court awareness, seeing exactly where the ball is. That means that these players are not actually eyeing the ball when it's in the air.
So you gotta
the focus.
Yep. Nose for the ball, and as we heard in that huddle, you can call it composure, maturity. These are the things the words that were thrown about. Pero that's what it's gonna take for Chery Tiggo to come back. Well, a little prayer also for an error.
Oh yes.
And Capital One was almost at set point, and frustration also. Capital One here. Now it's just a 1-point lead. And let's see if the composure and the maturity will shine through here for Chery Tiggo. Blockers are there. Picar with a pickup. This is a broken play. Robles with a set to Soreño. And we are tied at 23.
I mean, all good things to say about baby Jean Soreño.
Look at that set by Robles.
Pasano din natin. Wala magmamadali sa basa. Iba-iwalay natin. Di binabantayan yung middle mo. Pero kung bibigyan ka, sigurado yung papatayin mo. Pero kung hindi ka bibigyan, kailangan makakuha ka ng isang blocker. Na, mayos yung dalawang wing natin. Umampasin sa kamay, taasan mo yung mas mo, laksan mo. Nakatakot.
We're seeing a lot of effort from Chery Tiggo to block these attacks. So, instructions on the Capital One side, ibabawan yung blockers. We saw what happened when Abby Marano was at the serve in the third set. They went on to romp and win against Capital One. And maybe Jean Soreño with that attack error at a very crucial time, giving Capital One their first set point. Let's see, Chery Tiggo can hold out, or are we going to a fifth set? Caldones with a serve, floater. Oh, that one over. Here's a chance for Capital One. Is this for the win in the third set? Not yet. One more try for Capital One. Janice is going off. Blockers are there. Niegos from the right pin. One-handed set. And Obing Gaston again saving first set point for Capital One. And the crowd on their feet here at the Leonardo Center in Montalban. That was an exciting exchange.
Pauline Gaston, just on point.
Yeah. But that was a difficult one-handed set that Picar pulled off.
It was difficult because she's actually coming from the back row. So she's not allowed to go for those 1-2 plays. So she's really forced to set the middle blocker or shoot it out to the pin with one hand.
Yeah. And we're tied at 24. Well, pending the result of this net fault challenge, will the score stay at 24 apiece? For Capital One, still looking for their first win in our preseason series. But they have looked good today. You see that Capital One really learned a lot from the past two games. Their net fault here.
No net fault.
Layo.
Very far.
Yeah. I guess they needed to just take a chance there. Just use up their maybe the challenge and maybe ice the server here.
Serving for the Crossovers, Jean Soreño.
Chery Tiggo does not want to go for set 4. Set 5 rather. Let's see if they can end it here. Good first ball. Genesis with that approach. The touch. Picard, quick! Oh! Ball still alive though. Abu there with an excellent block. And that one got away from Chery Tiggo. And another chance here for Capital One. And they blew that first chance at extending this match to a fifth set. They can do it now. Oh, that is long, but they're calling for a check ball.
There's a touch on that one.
We're not even seeing a challenge anymore. This is let's see. Oh yeah,
Yep, on Abu.
Definitely on Pia Abu. We're back to 25 all. Peñafiel, the service line. She has 11 points today. Genesis, that one too much. And Chery Tiggo just let that one go.
So no touch on that attack by Trisha Genesis.
And we were talking about composure and maturity. Now that is a test for Capital One.
Serving for the match, Renee Peña.
And they get the ball back. Chery Tiggo with their first set point, match point in this fourth frame. Oh, tough serve. Niegos, that is good. Capital One still alive. Niegos in double digits.
All smiles for Bella Belen and the Capital One Solar Spikers. That's a loaded serve by Chery, but Niegos was able to get a point off that one. Usually in those sequences, the blockers do not block. Talking about Pauline Gaston in that sequence.
Robles, all still good. Niegos again, and that's another error on the attack. That's 2 in a row from Capital One at a very crucial time.
Crucial time.
Tiggo once again at match
And now Chery Tiggo with a match point here.
Pauline Gaston.
Here's another chance, a second chance for Chery Tiggo to cap this. Outside, untouched, and that is it official?
They will have
Be
a challenge, of course.
Yeah.
I believe it's a block touch challenge called by the Capital One Solar Spikers.
If this does not go the way of Capital One, we are looking at potentially 3 consecutive attack errors from Capital One, leading to their demise.
Right, and you know, I've been mentioning about the consistency of the attacking because the passing is there, the digging is there by the liberos of Capital One, the receive is there, it's in the setter's area, but it's the attacking that needs to be more polished. As we see a clear attack going outside for the Capital One Solar Spikers.
And that is a win for Chery Tiggo on their first game here in the On-Tour Series. Capital One came close to extending this match to a 5th setter. They won their first set today, but they will go home still winless in our series. Let's take a look at the point of the set brought to you by Myra. Be Vita Brighter with Myra's vitamin-powered whitening lotion. And what a game for Chery Tiggo. A first outing, a debut for them in this preseason tournament. We'll take a quick break. The final score in that 4th set, and a win for Chery Tiggo on their first day of action here in the On-Tour Series. I turn it over to Alexis Tinsay with a player of the game.
Cheeky and JP with me is player of the game, no other than the Chery Tiggo Crossovers rookie Jean Soreño with 15 points, 14 attacks, and 1 block. Jean, congratulations! Anong pakiramdam na may panalo mo ang pinakauna mong laro bilang pro together with the Chery Tiggo Crossovers?
Una-una, kasi first game, sobrang kaba. Tapos yung sa dulo na, parang sobrang gaan kasi nakikita ko talaga yung mga ates na nasa kanila po yung pressure. Tapos sabi nila na kami na bala sa pressure, kayo laro lang kayo, ganon. So parang sobrang gaan kasi nakasalalay talaga kami. Hindi lang naman ako yung may ano, kung di dahil sa kanila, hindi din pa ako maging player of the game.
And you're right about that. Pinag-usapan mo nga yung dulo ng game. Di kita ng puntos. Ito sa neck-and-neck battle. Extended up to 28 points. So, paano nyo nakuha yung panapos? What were you thinking about for the end game?
Yung sa end of the game namin, this fourth set, sabi na namin, go lang, laro lang. Pag magkakamali man, reset lang ng reset. Kasi nangyayari naman yun sa training namin na palagi talaga namin kinakapitan yung sa dulo talaga kasi alam namin na kaya na.
At kitang-kita, nakapit kayo. And now, what do you feel overall? Sobrang saya mo ba? Yung kaninang sinasabi mo sa akin sa dugout, nakaba, naging mas sobrang gumaan ba? Especially when you told me na your ates, they were there for you until the very last set.
Sobrang gaan ng pakiramdam ko na I'm very grateful na nandyan sila ates for me na sobrang happy talaga and grateful. Thank you.
What a solid first game for Jean Soreño. Now, may gusto ka bang batiin the fans watching on tour and also, of course, your family?
Una po sa akin, binabati ko yung Chery Tiggo team and yung nanonood po yung lola ko dyan, yung kapatid ko, sila Lola Guyang, and family ko po sa Negros Oriental, Tanhay, Pamplona, sila mama, papa, yun lang.
Thank you very much. Congratulations to Jean Soreño and the rest of the Chery Tiggo Crossovers. Don't go away. We have another game when we return.
Congratulations to baby Jean Soreño. What a memorable debut for her. And let's take a quick look at the stats, Jamie.
We have the match stats here. 59 attacks in total for the Chery Tiggo Crossovers and 50 for the Capital One Solar Spikers. 7 blocks for both teams, but take a look at the errors, 28 and 24. Almost the same amount, but it came down to the timing of the errors. The Capital One Solar Spikers need to polish their consistency, need to outsmart the opponents in terms of attacking because the other teams are leveling up here in the PVL. So this is where they need to go back to the drawing board. This is where their lessons need to be tidied up a bit here in the PVL.
Well, that is what the preseason is for, and I'm sure Zeus Coffee and Akari will be looking to accomplish just that to see how their teams will gel to get ready for the regular season. We're glad you joined us for this first set. Stay stuck. We have more volleyball to come. This has been Chikiro Opuno with Jamie Lavitoria, Alexis Tinsay. And this is the 2025 Premier Volleyball League on tour on Filipinas Live.